before. Bear with me. And it's ironic because it's called The Art of Showing Up. And here I am showing up. So I'm going to be talking about creative expression, but I'm also talking about showing up. And by the end of today, hopefully you can see that they're basically the same thing. So a little bit, first of all, about me. Let's see if I can make this thing work. Okay. So I'm currently a psychotherapist. I got my bachelor's from UWGB in 2004. My master's from the University of Denver's Graduate School of Social Work in 2010. And I am a mother as well. I have one son who's 14 and two stepdaughters, 22 and 16. So I'm still currently a psychotherapist, but I have been transitioning. So right now I'm still a 1099 at Innovative Counseling and with the UTech group. But as Nina said, I established an LLC called Creating Space Healing Arts Community. There's some cards and stickers on all your tables. Feel free to take those with you. And so I established that in 2022, bought a building, have been renovating it. It's on Webster, right across from the Webster Avenue Market, if you're familiar with that area. Kind of like right by Lock, Stock, and Bagel. It was actually a dental office, which is kind of crazy, but it's not anymore. So, since we're talking about creativity, and it's like I had to wrestle with putting this on here, but I am a creative person. I like to write, and I used to want to be an artist, so I do dabble. I'm like a hobby artist. And I did bring some copies of a book that I have published with some poems and other reflections, and I may share one with you in a little bit. So, a little bit about creating space. Like I said, I'm kind of trying to do something different. So traditional psychotherapy involves diagnosing people, billing insurance, one-on-one, and there's lots of regulations around what that looks like, and what we're doing in that setting, and it's great. I love it. But in doing that for the last 10 years, I have felt the limitations of it as well. And so what I'm doing is trying to kind of bridge a lot of different things together and create a little bit more of an integrative group approach to healing some of our deepest wounds. So there's 4 values that really stood out to me, which is curiosity. Who am I? How did I get this way? And that's where we're using self-discovery. So there's like the 3 pillars and the 4 values up here. And this is mind, body, emotion, spirit. So like things play out on all different levels for us. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it's all connected. So we also embody compassion, and that's like where I partner with other people who can add different things like nutritionists, yoga, things that can help you in all of these different, mind, body, emotion, spirit ways to create more healing for yourself in a kind of like more of a self-sustainable way, where you don't have to like go to a professional all the time to do this, that you can do it on your own. And then creativity, obviously that's what we're talking about today. And that's where the pillar is self-expression, because if you know who you are, and you've wrestled with all the things that you like and don't like about yourself and worked on the things that you want to bring more healing to, you're able to be your truest self. You're able to really express yourself. Otherwise, you're kind of expressing a half version of yourself when you're not fully aligned and fully congruent with your truest self. And oftentimes we have life experiences that shape us, and sometimes they're not great. So that doesn't mean that's part of who you are. It might be part of like how you've adapted to what has happened. And then the last value is connection, which is obviously implied because this is all in a group setting. Like I'm doing classes, I think I classified it as a community education program because I just just didn't want all the red tape of mental health to block what I want to do with people. So that's a little bit about my business. And how many people here believe they are creative? Show of hands. How many people here participate in creative activities regularly? Somebody who might be brave that did not raise your hand. Who's the least creative person in the room? Anybody? Anybody? Nobody wants to be that person? Okay, how about anybody who did not raise their hand? Anybody want to tell me, who did not raise their hand, what you think creative expression is and how you feel about it? Nobody? I'm a therapist, I can wait a long time.
I did not raise my hand because our condition of your question was regularly participate.
Okay.
So to answer this question, creative expression is just free and flowing and colors and writing and words and phrase, whatever you want to do, and I think that's amazing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So, yeah, creative expression. What are some of the things that we think of? Art, music, theater, comedy, dance, all of those visual, spatial things that we can participate in. When we grow up, we tend to lose a little bit of that. Either because of time or maybe that's kids stuff. I've been doing a lot of events where I'll bring a lot of art supplies and I set it up for people to do activities that are kind of therapeutic. And it's moms bringing their kids over and letting them work on it. And I'm like trying to engage the parents and the adults around, and people are just kind of like, meh, meh. You know, maybe it's a timing thing, maybe it feels like too much work, maybe it's just, I don't know what it is, but I think we lose it. Or we feel like it's not, you know, that's kid stuff. But we are all creative. Our DNA, our hair color, the way that we, you know, our actual biology expresses itself, that's the definition of creative expression. You got a fingerprint, it's unique. You got, everything about you is unique. There's nothing about you that is exactly the same as anybody else. And that's also via nurture. So not just nature, also nurture. We got individual psychology. Everybody has their own kind of like predispositions, and then you have unique life experiences. So not only are you biologically creative and unique, but you are also having your own individual experience that is absolutely yours, and nobody else has it. So creative expression is absolutely vital. You can't even get away from it. Sorry, everybody's creative, sorry. And we're born to be creative. We're in a church, so I'm sure a lot of people here believe that you have been created, right? In the image of God, right? So that in itself, you know, kind of sets the stage for this to be also true, you know, on every level. And I think even though we know that, like I said, it's kind of like we lose it a little bit, or we don't let ourselves, we limit ourselves. We don't let ourselves play. We don't let ourselves dance. We don't let ourselves sing. We don't let ourselves create art. You know, I'm glad a lot of people raise their hands about creating art regularly, but we are born to be creative and unique. Why do we try so hard to fit the mold? Especially as moms. I mean, I think everybody kind of feels it on some level. You know, you want to do things right. You want to do a good job. You want to do things better than your parents did. You want to follow, you know, whatever kind of like value system that you want to, you know, adhere to. So we kind of create these ideas of how we're maybe supposed to be or how we want to strive to be. And I think sometimes that also can limit how we show up. So here's a quote I want to share with you. It says, when you go out into the woods and you look at trees, you see all these different trees. Some of them are bent, some are straight, some of them are evergreens, some are whatever. You look at the tree and you allow it. You see why it is the way it is, you sort of understand, didn't get enough light, it turned that way, and you don't get all emotional about it, you just allow it. You appreciate the tree. But the minute we get near humans, we lose all that. And you're constantly saying you're to this or I'm to this. And that judgment mind comes in. And so this quote's from Ram Dass. He said, I practice turning people into trees, which means appreciating them just the way that they are. And that's for you too. Sometimes we can be hard on ourselves. And in turn, we can be hard on our kids. We can be hard on our families. Sometimes the people that are closest to us feel like they're an extension of us, and if there's things that we're worried about in terms of our own security or insecurity, we can almost like take that out on them. And that changes how they show up. So creative expression is ultimately your mark on life. We were talking before about fingerprint, you know. Here I am. This is me, alive in this lifetime, right here, right now, breathing air. And I'm only gonna be here for a certain amount of time, just like you. You are alive, your life is a creative act. It is your mark on life. You're here to be you. God made you to be you, right? I mean, there's a lot of, theological framework that we can kind of like try to live by, but ultimately you are you, and it's not going to be the same as everybody else. It's just not. And we try so hard sometimes to be the same, which is kind of silly. So if you're here to be you, who are you? It's kind of the big question, right? And you are you, which is all of you. Good, bad, light, dark, all the things. Because we are human. On this plane, that's how we are. And we are not perfect. But this is what we're here to do, is to be ourselves. And so I think sometimes this is, in my profession, this is where people really struggle. Because there's parts of themselves that they are wrestling with. Maybe there's pain that they're avoiding or trying to run away from. And you know, it's really, as much as you can embrace where you are, who you are, what you've got, where you came from, and do what you want with that. Obviously, it doesn't mean you stay the same, you grow, but like you are also never gonna like reach some final finish line and be perfect. So it's also kind of embracing where you're at in life's journey every day. Because I'm not the same as I was even yesterday. So you get to kind of continue to change as well. So you are all of you, which includes both hemispheres of your brain. And traditionally we've thought of, and because there's science behind it, you know, the left brain really does handle a lot of the details, logic, language, analyzing, it's linear thinking. It's kind of like the more rule-centered, a little bit more maybe like the rigid type of thinking. And the right brain is more holistic, intuitive, visual, spatial, imaginative, and emotional. In like trauma, which oftentimes is, like the right brain is also nonverbal. So even though we think of writing as a creative act. Language itself is left brain because it's like organizing. It's trying to make sense of. Language is kind of like a way of categorizing things so that we can talk about them. But when you use language in different ways, like metaphorically, it's more right brain. That's kind of like an interesting one, the writing language one. But right brain is, it's kind of almost like more tightly connected to your subconscious. It's like your conscious is like your left brain. It's like in charge. It's running the show. It's making sense of things. It's trying to organize life. It's trying to like help you get by. The right brain is kind of like more fluid. It's like feeling things. And I think it can be a little bit maybe scarier for adults because we rely heavily on logic. We rely heavily on our left brains. But really, our brains are super interconnected. So if we're really gonna be our full self, we need to embrace all of it and not try to limit ourselves to be a certain way. So brain science, there was a study just earlier this year actually by, who was it? Bingham and Women's Hospital in February. And they did a lot of brain mapping and realized how there really is, it's not like your left brain or right brain. Traditionally, we thought that, like some people are more right brain, some people are more left brain. That's actually not true. Those areas of the brain do handle different things. And I think maybe we, like I said, kind of like cling to a certain side, like it's gonna help us in some way. But really, if we want to be as whole and fully us as possible, it is an interconnection. So different areas of creativity, depending on what it is, if it's music, art, writing, they all map to different brain regions because obviously some of those are more spatial, some are more visual, some are more auditory. That's highlighting different parts of the brain, but there's a common creativity circuit that connects these. And it activates different neural networks and increases communication. So it's almost like brain exercise to be creative. There's a lot going on when it comes to being creative. It's not just memory recall. So there's also a lot of benefits to participating in creative acts. So it improves mood and emotional well-being, emotional processing and release, actual cognitive enhancements, self-discovery. As you're creating things, you learn more about yourself, stress reduction. A lot of people are doing coloring and stuff. That is definitely a very mindful activity, increased mindfulness, sense of achievement. If you create something, if you perform something, there's this kind of accomplishment connection and social bonding. So like if you're dancing with a group, if you're singing with a choir, if you're creating art in a class, sometimes it is a catalyst to connection. And it can bring more healing. In a trauma training that I just did, there was a big focus, and shame training actually, both of those, big focus on creative expression and the benefits of that, because oftentimes, like I said, trauma is almost like it's stuck in the right brain because we don't want it to be part of our life. So we kind of like almost squash it and it stays in this little area, and then we live life around it, but everything's triggering it. So it's almost like we gotta integrate. We gotta integrate all of the experiences that we've had so that we can embrace them and heal in whatever ways we can so that we can move forward and feel like we're fully us. And we're not pigeonholing and trying to create a little maze in our brains of what we can allow ourselves to think about or talk about and what we can't. So we are not finished products. Like I was saying before, like I'm not the same person today as I was yesterday. So we're constantly creating ourselves. So you are yourself, but you are going to continue to be able to become more and more of yourself. Experiences you have, decisions you make, relationships, and we are active participants in our lives. We're not just floating and, you know, maybe you are floating, I don't know. But if you are, you don't have to. You can make decisions, you can make changes. And we're active participants in our lives of our children and our families. So how do you show up? How do you show up as yourself in your family, in your life? And how do you want to show up? And if there's a difference there, you get to keep working on it. We're not done yet. So on that note, I didn't want to take too long, and I'm already a little over 20 minutes. So the biggest thing, I guess, that I want to try to sum up and make some sense of for you guys is it's important to know yourself and love yourself so that you can be yourself. If you don't know yourself, what are you doing? You know, like you're probably kind of reacting and, you know, trying to go with the flow of whatever's going on, but you may not be like asserting like, this is me, this is how I am, this is what I want, this is what and to love yourself. So how do you feel about who you are? You know, that's where I was getting at before. Like, even if we don't like everything about what's going on, or if there's some like lingering stuff that we know we're still trying to heal from, can you still love yourself like that and keep moving forward? You know, like instead of like shaming it or trying to hide it or block it or pretend it's not there and like, you know, not really loving yourself but trying to show up anyway, like that's hard to do. And I think people around us can kind of feel that at times. So to know, love, and really be yourself, I think that is what we're here for, obviously. And then do with yourself what you want. So if you want to share the gospel, if you want to, you know, go create art, if you want to, you know, whatever it is, but sometimes there's a lot of stuff in the way of that. So that's where sometimes therapy can come into play, because we can get through some stuff and then you can really be you. But healing and growing along the way. And regardless, whether you're, you know, like I said before, we're not finished products, and yet here we are. We have to show up anyway. So it's like having an incomplete painting and being like, here it is, you know? but you kind of have to. Because what else are you gonna do? You're not complete, we're not perfect, and yet here we are showing up, you know? So being able to create space for yourself to be present, incomplete, imperfect, and still love yourself through it. That's, I guess, kind of the gist of what I wanted to leave with you guys today. That was kind of a lot in a very short amount of time, and I probably talked around it a lot, and hopefully it made sense, and whatever was meant for you, you got. Here's some events that are coming up. I've got a seasonal book club. We target like self-help, personal growth, spiritual, all kinds of stuff that kind of are in line with my business model. The next one is October 16th, and it is the Let Them theory. Anybody in here read that? Yeah, I'm in the midst, I'm almost done. You know, it's funny because several people told me about that book, and I was like, oh, I already know that. I already know that. I already know that, you know, but like, then it came up again, and somebody was pushing me on some of my own stuff, which I still have, you know, I got my own stuff, guys. But I was like, okay, fine, I'll read it. And then as I was reading, I was like, oh, this is actually good for me. You know, this is actually helpful. Because even though I understood the gist of it, it was like, it was helpful. So there's that. And then the next day, October 17th, I'm partnering with Katie Lowline from Fresh Start, which is a division of the UTech group, and we are hosting an Inner Wisdom Retreat, which is an all-day retreat from 8 to 5 at my space on Webster. And the following day, I'll be at the Brown County Library doing a talk kind of similar, although hopefully I'll hone it a little bit better after today. And then doing some different activities than what we're gonna do today. And then November 8th, I'm partnering with Sarah Mullen from Inspired by Sarah, and we're doing a creative workshop called Canvas of the Heart. So those are coming up. Now, there's some art supplies in the middle of your tables. I gave everybody enough paper, but there's extra paper over here on this black bin, and instruction sheets if you want them. But this is basically the instructions up here. What we're gonna do is, this is an inside-out self-portrait, so you're gonna either fold the paper in half, or you can draw a line down the middle, however you wanna do it. On one half of the paper, you're going to, you're gonna use visual symbols, colors, words. I've got magazines over here, so you can cut out, just grab a couple magazines and you can cut out words, pictures. That might be the fastest way, unless you really want to draw or, use the colors. But this is, be as creative as you want. Tune into what comes up for you when you think about, what do people usually see or know about you? How do people kind of maybe stereotype you? Or how do you feel like you come across to other people? That's what you're gonna put on the outside me side, the left side, and then the right side is the inside me. What do I keep inside? What are maybe some of my thoughts, emotions, hopes, struggles that maybe people don't know about? Or things that I feel like are a huge part of me that maybe people don't know about. Maybe I don't share it with people. So outside me, inside me. And like I said, symbols, colors, words, images, you can draw, you can use the magazines, please. And you can get up right now if you want. I'm gonna keep talking, but go ahead and grab magazines if you wanna do that. And then there's glue sticks on the table, scissors. Hopefully everybody can kind of share. I do have a few more art supplies over here as well, if we need more glue or drawing utensils. And then, let's see. Oh, I was gonna have you do, if you're 8, which I don't know, I'm timing, we'll have to see like where we're at, but if you're able to do, the outside, the inside, and then you could flip the paper over if there's maybe a different, like, is there another image or another, symbol or something else that might fit how you want to show up. So, think about that a little bit. So left side is outside me. What do people maybe think about when they see me? What do people tell me that they see? Or it might be a role that you play.